Hello, class. How are you today? This lecture is about the processes and functions of information professionals. Let's begin.
This lecture will uh, focus on two of the areas. One is information engineering, and the other is information organization management. So we will examine the element of building and maintaining an information base, as well as we need to focus on the philosophy and processes associated with providing information services to our customers. And then we finally will examine the functions of information agency as a whole. So, all information professions spend a portion of our working time with individual customers. For example, a librarian in a public library uh, answers questions of mm, like businessmen who are asking for a description of a specific or certain company where they wish to invest. So, a school library specialist who works with a fifth grade teacher to plan a the like science unit, right? They will study like animals or and also the including development of student skills in gathering and in organizing the information. So these examples that we just talked, that our we as information professionals, we need to identify the needs of the client, and we need to attempt to address that need by identifying and providing appropriate information sources. Um, uh, and also because we need to have right collection for the our customers. We need to have responsibility for collection, which include the various processes, right? Identifying appropriate items and selecting resources and organize the source, and then store the resources and provide retrieving systems for our customers. And then we need to preserve the resources. So the process of building a collection of resources should be identify and evaluate the resources, and then you finally select and then acquisition for your information agency, and then you need to organize and store and provide retrieval system, and then you need to provide the circulation functions, right? And then you need to preserve, and if you decide not preserve them, you need to discard the resources, I mean the collections. So let's discuss for each of this process. Um, the process of building a collection or database begin with identifying the possible information resources, right? That could be added to the collection. So the identification resource can begin with your client that who have used or heard of an information resource that would be useful in their work. So your customers often can provide adequate information like title or author or description, but quite often the title or authors is close but not but incorrect. So uh, is one on effective needs analysis. should be provided in order to provide the service with the best information for the building collection. So first, you need to understand the needs of client, then make us possible that the information professionals to know current need and to anticipate the future needs. There are some selection tools that has been used for our field. The first one, as I mentioned, is a book list. It is published by American Library Association since 1905. That is a source for recommended books and media for libraries. And there is the choice. This is like published by ACLL, the Association of College and Research for Libraries. This is a division of ALA, and it is published monthly review of books and other media for academic libraries since 1964. Although it's specified as academic libraries, I mean for the academic library setting, the choice provides a very systematic and very academical review for the books and other media. So I encourage you to look at the choice, the two, even if you are working at the public library or school media setting. And others also well-known and reliable source for identification of newly published resources, including Library Journal that are published bi-weekly by the R.R. Bokel Company, which is a long-standing publisher in the our LIS field. Each issue contains a article for professionals and many reviews by our librarians. There is also American Reference Books Annual. It's we call it ALBA. It's a very comprehensive review of reference books. Okay, used in many types of libraries. So it's the most comprehensive review source for reference titles. And there is a Publishers Weekly. Is the list for the new books published by American publishing industry. So this service doesn't provide any review, but it is very comprehensive resources for identifying new publications in the United States. So these are the links that I just mentioned that very reliable tools to identify and evaluation tools for the print or other formats of materials. In your collection development course, which is 501 in our program, we'll be discussing these tools in detail. So this is, I mean, collection development is main function in any department in your library. Like for instance, if you are working at the reference desk, you still need to know how to select, how to evaluate the resources for your reference department, right? So the collection development course should be taken by all the students in MLS, and it's a key function to know the resources and to have update the information about the new sources. Okay. After titles have been identified, evaluated, and determined to be available for purchase, a purchasing decision must be made. This decision process is identified as selection. Okay, so review sources like listed on the previous slides can be very valuable resources for determining the suitability of specific titles for a collection. But the reviews must be evaluated to determine the authority of their evaluation for the customers for which considered. So reviews tend to be a very general evaluations. So taking into consideration the quality of writing, format, also illustrations, indexing, and accuracy. So uh, you need to consider some questions when you select some collections. You may ask, does this information source address one or more of issues of interest to the client? Are the issues addressed in manner appropriate for the client? Is more than one viewpoint presented? Is the information current? Is the information accurate according to latest research? Are the values presented those of the prevailing paradigm, or are they presenting an alternative view? Are other information sources available to present a similar perspective on this issue? If so, how is the information source unique? How does this information source contribute to the current collection of the information agency? Is purchase of this information source defensible in cost? What's the final decision? Should we purchase, or should we delay a decision, or we simply decide not purchase? So the selection process, I mean, the can be very carefully administrated that in order to select a good collection. And again, this selection process also will be reviewed in your collection development course. After a selection decision is made, steps must be taken into acquire the information resources, right? Identified and selected. Format of the information is a key factor in the acquisition process. Vendors are companies that purchase resources from a variety of sources and provide mostly one-stop shopping for libraries and information agencies to purchase books, journals, like periodicals and non-print information resources. So the vendors purchase items wholesale and can usually offer product at a reduced price from the retail prices. Examples of such vendors are like a Becker and Taylor, and Broadart, and McClure for books. And for the periodical, there is like a Blackwell. So the vendors attempt to meet our librarians' need by putting reviews online and indicate the reading level. The service also provide usually fast delivery with additional benefit of providing cataloging, which will be taking a look at next slide. But providing the cataloging it's very time saving for our libraries. So organization of information resources include three major activities: classification, cataloging, and database design. So classification Um, this is as we discussed last week, right? It's done by maybe one of the standard classification systems such as DDC, Dewey Decimal Classification, or LC, Library of Congress, for books, journals, and electronic resources. And then the cataloging. The rules for descriptive cataloging published by ALA provides the protocol for us to describe the item to be added to the collection. Mm, Cataloging information can be purchased, making the cataloging process much more efficient and cost effective. Uh, um, when I work at one academic library in Korea, which is 1991, we used to purchase the catalog from OCLC, which is formatted by the CD for like foreign collection for us. I mean, like English text from either America or other the Western countries. So it's actually we saved a lot of time to catalog just to do the copy cataloging. Um, so. Like the OCLC, they provide some copy cataloging, and uh, the most right now currently most libraries they just do the copy catalog. Not many people do actual the catalog by themselves. For like a specialized library, they need to catalog by themselves. But most library they got just use the copy cataloging. Okay. Um, so the database design, the if your library decide to create a new database customized to meet your local needs, you need to ask something like you need to know who will use the database, right? A general clientele or specialized the customers or both, or and depends on who will be using. You need to decide should the vocabulary be general or specific to the special area. I mean specialty area, right? And also you need to decide is there an you need to know is there an existing thesaurus of the term, or is there an index that can be used as a guide, and also are there clients who uh, would be knowledgeable enough and available to serve as consultant as decision are made. Um, uh, because this database is made for specialized one is for example, when I work at one public library in New Jersey, we had a special several databases for several special collections. For example, like SCOMNote, musical SCOMNote. It is that those are very hard to shelve and also hard to retrieve because of the format. So we made our own databases, including the title, or the what's the song's title, and who is the musician, and what kind of genre and what kind of mood, etc. So we have these the SCOMNote actually for these are very popular for especially for high school kids, and also some other patrons who wanted to play, especially for the classical piece or jazz piece. So we need to know who are the users of the special collection, and depends on the users, we need to provide right index system for them. Okay. Storage of resources is a decision that can influence client use and ease of retrieval. And we need to ask, should all format be stored according to the classification scheme, or should they be separate by format? Okay, if you decide to select to go with the classification method or information resources, I mean the packages, regardless of the format, will be stored or shelved together, right? So your customer will have like all sort of formats of resources like CDs, books, journals, and the recordings like video recordings in the same general location, right? If you decide to go with by format, then it can facilitate browsing by format, right? So you have to decide that first, and you need to think of the space, and you need to think of the users, of course. Um, uh, the periodicals, those collections are mostly actually separated in, from other collections, and also like the government document. Those are I mean periodicals and government document are very special collection, and it has like a separate location they used to be stored. The periodicals, you need to think about the circulation ish, and also you need to supervise because of the stolen issues. And also many people using the periodical, there are some specifications about the periodicals. So you need to think about where, how can you put the periodical from how distant from your reference desk. So you need to think of all sort of the things, and the government document. That's because as we discussed previous lecture, they most government document is classified by Superintendent of Documents Classification Number, I mean SUDOC. So many libraries choose to use the SUDOC number to catalog and to store government publications of all types, and they store at a separate place. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let's take a look at circulation in the next slide. So circulation is concerned with the way that information resources are available to your customers. As we discussed earlier, that libraries' lending policies are a local reflection, right, of an information policy. So when you discuss about the circulation, you may think about will your customer be able to take item from the facility? How about must items? What kind of items be in the house? Is it like a certain area within the building? And if item can be circulated outside the facility, how long may they be checked out? Is there a penalty for returning items after the due date? If so, what is the penalty? Are there certain items that cannot be circulated? For example, like reference items or electronic resources. Are certain items be circulated only for a short time period? For example, like reserved item. Some items might be like overnight or only for 1 hour, and for like some reserved item like fiction, like a popular new fiction, you may give your customers like 2 or 3 days. I remember so many requests, so many the reserved items for popular fictions. And although we did uh, purchase so many copies, they just all gone right away once we got them because of the popularity. So in that case, you may have the policy that state how long, like 2 or 3 days or 1 day. So it all depends on your agency's policy. And then when resources have been in the collection for a time, you need to decide also where should we preserve the collection or not. So you need to ask about should this resource be replaced with a more recent addition, or should this item be discarded? Should this item be repaired and preserved for future use in the collection? What are the constraints of space and construction cost? But it also relates to the mission of the information center. If the review of resources indicate that preservation of resources is not justified, the item should be discarded. Um, no library can justify keeping all items purchased in perpetuity, right? Some items must be discarded to make space for others. I participated in several reading projects, and whenever I participated in those reading projects, it broke my heart. Once I did a reading project for the language collection. There are so many very, it looks like just treasure because it's really old books and old materials about the language from all other countries, including the dictionaries. Looks so uh, uh, um, unique and looks like a treasure, but we need to wait because nobody will use that. And so it's the process very very sad. And but we need to think about the space for the new item, right? And you need to think about the cost they're keeping, like the cooling system or heating system, or the maintaining, like cleaning, for all the step to keep the clean, right? So it just takes money. So think you need to decide whether it's preserved or discarded by your own information center's policy. So from the process we just discussed, that we need to require for building a collection of any format and making that collection available to our customer. But key factor in each process is keeping you need to keep in your mind is two concepts: the mission of the information agency and the information needs of a client. Okay, so all decisions needs to focus on these 2 points: mission of your information agency, and then the information need of your customers. Okay, let's talk about the function of information agencies. Okay, as you can see, there are some categories like educational function. This is the main function for our information agency, right? And then the cultural function. You need to provide. I think this is a mistake, not enjoy. But you need to provide the culture of your society. And then recreational function, it's enjoy and appreciation. And then research function and informational function and bibliographic function. Okay, most information profession tends to provide with mixed and accumulative services and functions with this all these sort of criteria. For example, if you think about the reference desk work, these all criteria can be applied. Okay, let's take a look at one by one. Um, the educational functions of libraries and the information agents support learning. So this function is one of the oldest forms of a service provided the profession. Right? When we discussed about the basic history of our profession, that on early 1800s, uh, the the public library were founded in order to serve as a school for a ordinary person. Okay, so schools, especially secondary schools, were actually out of reach for all, but only for the wealthy people. So public libraries were actually first time funded in Massachusetts state and supported by tax money in order to provide the citizen opportunity to extended from their formal schooling through the public libraries, right? The Mabel Dewey was a proponent of libraries as a school in his the profession. Um, in his 1876 article, he mentioned that. Okay, let me read the page 22 too, because I didn't provide you page 22, but let me read quickly. Okay. Our leading educators have come to recognize the library as sharing with the school the education of the people. The most that the schools can hope to do for the masses, more than the schools are doing for them in many sections, is to teach them to read intelligently, to get ideas readily from printed pages. It may seem a strong statement, but many children leave the schools without this ability. They can repeat the words of the book, but this is simply pronunciation, as a beginner pronounce another language without getting any clear idea of the meaning. Could the schools really teach the masses to read, they would be doing a great work. The children of lower classes have to commence work at a very early age, and it is impossible to keep them in the school long enough to educate them to any degree. The school teaches them to read. The library must supply them with reading which shall serve to educate, and so it is that we are forced to divide popular education into two parts of almost equal importance and deserving equal attention: the free school and the free library. Hmm. Um, so the educational role of the library has expanded considerably since the article by Dewey, and the educational function is, I believe, is still a primary function of the most libraries, right, including public, academic, school, and special. So your customer comes to the library or electronically access to the library to learn on their own. Okay. Um, Recent years, our librarians and other information professionals have become more engaged in the teaching, learning process. Leading the way have been schools and college university librarians who have collaborated with faculty to teach student information skills. We call as a bibliographic instruction or information literacy. So information professionals teach people information skills. So um, if you take a look the ACRL website, they provide some guidelines for college and university libraries to the what is for the standards for libraries in higher education. Okay, if you click the link, you can see how to address these functions in our information profession. If I can read, as an academic or instructional unit within the institution, the library should facilitate student success as well as encourage lifelong learning. By combining new techniques and technology with the best of traditional sources, librarians should assist primary users and others in information retrieval method, evaluation, and documentation. Um, Public libraries engage in educational function and work to complement schools. Some public libraries promote education through collaboration with other agencies like local literacy council, adult education, book discussion groups, and by providing a high interest raw vocabulary books collection. Right? So, uh, especially public libraries, they are doing a great job to support the community as doing the educational function. And also the school library, it has the integral role in education, right? The school library is part of overall goal of achievement, and that they need to support every area of the curriculum. So the library is a very is responsible as the classroom, and the school media specialists that teach just more than information literacy goal, but they teach all of the goal, and they are working in student learning. It's a growing function to provide the staff development for the school's faculty too. Okay. The cultural function. This is the heart of founding of ALA, which also adopted Mabel Dewey's. He actually suggested like we need to provide the best reading for the larger number at the least cost. So it means the best book on the best subject that should be provided based on carefully assessed the needs of your the community. So the term best reading actually tells, it reflects the essence of the cultural function of information. For example, providing customers the best examples of our cultural heritage as those are represented in our current literature and history, music or dance, and all sort of the art forms. As I copied the Bartolo's statement, actually Bartolo issued this challenge to the librarians. Um, our librarians' first duty is not to demonstrate to our readers that the pronouncement of science are true, or even to assist them in making new discovery of fact. We must serve primarily as archivists of culture and aids his reader, our reader, to find whatever they require as far as this has been put up on the record. If in the course of this duty we can also serve for the moment as an informal teacher, we will deserve well off of society. So again, the key point is we need to provide the best available information resources. But this cultural function can be the best reflect of best practical functions of to practice for our current society. Sometimes the cultural function may be questioned because of appropriateness of age group or the community. And also in the history, the popular culture, including literature, music, and art, contributed to society, and it was regarded as an important asset of the society. Um, uh, we need to ask some questions like when actually if we need to provide a collection of literature, like I mean the collection literature, we may think of to collect works by William Shakespeare or Mark Twain or Eliot, right? And then how about should we include like popular authors like Dan Brown, who wrote the Da Vinci Code, or John Grisham, like the Firm, or the he wrote several popular one, or like a mystery series written by Agatha Christie. Should we include library collection for these items as classic, or for whom? For adults or the youth? So, and also this can be related to the timing. So, um, like uh, for instance, like a classic symphonies, Mozart and Bach. They were very popular in early days, um, but become and then become classical musical piece for future generations. Like currently, like jazz music is kind of a product of the early 20th century, and is a major art form that keeping in this current ages too. So this is very appreciated and studied in music school and throughout the whole world. So and it needs to the cultural function it depends on the timing, and also you need to ask what can be the appropriate for the in your agency, and also what can be appropriate for the age groups or your community, and also the cultural function also include the sharing of cultures of various ethnic groups, right? Because we are now a global society, and libraries are kind of repositories for um, representative artifacts of the all cultures of our world. Okay. Mm, so it's a function includes sharing of cultures, various ethnic group and forms too. Okay. Um, the recreational function is we can call as like enjoyment. It's centered with the use of information resources during leisure time. These resources may include like novels, poetry, periodicals, and like non-fiction to sport interest, or audio video recording and games, including electronic formats. So it attracts the users to not use the library often and provides resources for whom who couldn't afford those resources. Um, Another major point of the recreational function is the today's recreational materials may be tomorrow's classic, isn't it? For example, maybe music. Um, what else? Um, there are some poems of mm, the materials, right? Okay. Okay. The research function. We actually discussed this a lot too when we discuss what kind of uh, what is the major function as the information professionals or information agencies. So this research function is the same to create new social knowledge, and the research um, mm, we can discuss research in a very light way to a serious way. If we support a real research, it's required like a real study, starting with reviews and support to establish the research questions or hypotheses. And you need to collect the data, and then you need to analyze the data and report the result. So it's making a new knowledge for the your society. Um, in order to support this research function, some libraries require advanced degree to support this research, such as MLS, along with the a master degree in a subject, I mean the other subject, or JD or PhD. Okay. And then information function. It's for decision making, providing information to people instead of teaching them how to use information source is not a new concept in our LIS profession, right? But implementation of information service has been slow to evolve. Um, there are some actually we've talk about these things like a red reference. Uh, um, it includes like quick answer to they're asking telephone numbers, address, weather, and then bibliographic verification. Uh, what is the right title about these things, and what is the author's name about this title? And then information and retrieval services. So all those things are um, one of the information function in your reference resource course, which is 500 in our program. Will provides you a detailed information about what kind of information function in our reference service or information services. We, I think we um, call the reference service is so most libraries they change the name from reference department or reference service to information services because those are more comprehensive and there's more uh, provide a correct interpretation of the service. So I think this reference service, I mean information function, I haven't talked about a lot when while I was talking about the Kurtas model and also others. So I think it's to understand, right? Okay, and then there is bibliographic function. And it's very important information function is uh, in our agency. In it's been what is bibliography? First, what is bibliography? It is a list of books arranged according to some permanent principles. So the maybe definition can be used for a listing of like audio recording, video recordings, or website or information in any format. So again, to implement the bibliography function effectively, the information professional must know the need of a client. Then a finding and can be developed to address those needs. So the bibliographic function that we already took a look what is bibliographies, what's indexes, what's pathfinders, and also other finding aids for all format. Okay, let's talk about the levels of service. Um, I forgot to mention the citation, but this is actually made by, introduced by Roger Greer and the Hell. It's 1982. Um, uh, uh, it's first one is passive and reactive and assertive. The passive is the passive level of a service. It consists of like process of choosing, acquiring, and organizing materials on the library shelves for the user to discover. So the information professional doesn't attempt to assist with understanding or use of information. So, for example, Information Center provides a collection of books or journal, or it creates a database for use by client with no assistant. And then there is another level, reactive, a level of service in which professional assistance is provided on request of client. For example, maybe a traditional reference service is provided in most libraries, and also like providing the finding aids like bibliographies, um, uh, webographies, something like that, upon request. So the bulk of the material chosen and programs offered is based on library's best judgment of relevance. So input from the community is welcomed when it arrives, but it's not like collected systematically. Okay, so it's just provided by us, not um, by assessing of needs of your client, your users. So there's another level of service, assertive. This level of service addresses the known information needs of clientele as identified by an information needs analysis. The level of service anticipates information need. An example is a like delivery of information to client without their asking, right? For example, a university librarian emails a faculty member a newly arrived journal article for literature review. The professor is preparing. On the other hand, a school library media specialist, knowing the current of subject to be taught to 7th grade history student, so arranges a meeting with the history teacher to plan a history unit which integrate the teaching of note-taking skill. So, so the key to an assertive level of services is we need to have a systematic collection of community data from which needs and interests are inferred. And then we need to develop a customized collection. And then we need to disseminate the information to meet the inferred and expressed need. So the focus of this level of service is the community and it is its people. Okay, so actually these levels of service can be applied to the various information functions or service described earlier in the slides. So those services can be provided at different level, and but we need to active, very assertive, not passive level. Okay, although different stage and different function, we are doing a different level of services, but it is encouraged to do assertive levels of service. So, what is the role of professionals? Information professionals should have knowledge of the user's information need and their roles. The service can be performed at three levels, right? Passive, reactive, and assertive, with the six information functions. The role of information professional is the process of diagnosing information need, planning and implementing services, and evaluating the impact of service. Okay, so actually this lecture I hope this lecture provides you the whole picture of our profession's role, our profession's practical practice. Okay, Hope you enjoyed this lecture, and let me know anytime if you have any questions. And what else? Okay, you have a great day. Thank you. Okay, bye bye.